Good afternoon. I think we're on for an afternoon of fun and frolics here. If fortunately, you've not viewed what we were talking about before, but we're here today with Fred again at his Jollity Farm. And special guest, I'm delighted to say, Roy Mozley.
Thank you.
Mr. Showbiz himself. And this man who he's not met, not produced, not put on stage is, well, it's not worth mentioning. Roy, tell us about, first of all, just get out of the way. You grew up in Eccles, didn't you? From then?
Born in Winton, in Rydal Avenue, prefab. Then moved to Lambton Street, off Padding Lane. And then I went to get over to Winton Senior, which is a horrible place to try and learn. I actually learned nothing. And spelling, I'm still bad now with it. Mathematics, I'm brilliant now because I had to learn the hard way. So if somebody said, what's 5%, 10%, I'd go, I'm there, I'm away. At that time though, I wasn't learning anything. I just wasn't. But then I was quite physical because my dad had got us into tennis, football, rugby, you name it. And then that paid off because in later years when I really needed to be fit with owning clubs and working in quite busy businesses, I needed to keep that attitude going, which I did. And so that was that. And then a friend of mine called Chris Benson, who's still around, who has the Queen's pub at Pattycroft. I think it's called the Top House, if not mistaken.
Yeah. Boddington's.
And Chris was there one day in the classroom, and he was playing a guitar, and he was playing it pretty good for our ages then. So then I got on well with Chris as a friend, and then I used to go and watch the images because Chris had formed this group at Monton, and they'd be rehearsing, and then my dad had just bought me a guitar, so then I go and sit in with the images, and the bass player Rowley, who turned out a great friend in later years, he used to, excuse my language, you say, for fuck's sake, shut up, Mozley, will you? So I was learning. So the next thing is, anyway, eventually I learned what, where and how, and I used to do gigs on my own, but then when Rowley was off, Rowley'd come in on the bass, and I'd be doing it myself. So then I started doing all different clubs, social clubs and pubs, and then I formed a group with a lad from Ellesmere Park, called Ray Summers, and a lad called on drum Ray Adams, and a guy called Bob Cartwright on bass, and we had quite a nice little sound. And what I liked about them, they were forever rehearsing. It wasn't just a 5-minute one, or we'll do it once a week. It was 4 or 5 nights a week. So if a new song came out, whoever it may be, we learned it in a night, but we carried on practicing. So when we went to these wonderful places on Cross Lane, and as we all know, and one of the places was called the Fusiliers.
Yeah.
And one night we got there, and it was absolutely rammed, and I never forget, it was like a Saturday night.
What was the name of the band, Roy?
The Fusiliers.
No, the Emeralds.
The Emeralds.
Oh, the group, sorry, the group was called the Emeralds then.
Yeah.
And then, what happened was, they had Carl Denver booked for the main room, but he hadn't turned up. So, but this time they put us all in the vault, and the vault then for the stage was made up of hardboard and beer crates, believe it or not. So we did our first spot, and then the next thing is this guy, I think his name was Dave, the owner, black eyes, which is normal for the licensees, and then he'd say, right, you'll have to get on in the big room. But me, even then, being a quick thinker, financially wise, I went, but want more money. And he went, you can, and all the rest of it. Anyway, we did it. I think we got an extra tenner, but. So anyway, we did that, and went really well. Then after that, we tended to do all the pubs on Cross Lane. So that was a learning thing for me anyway. And then I got a job at Pendleton Motors, who I've just been discussing with about them, and it was I was supposed to be an apprentice motor mechanic
Top of Frederick Road.
at top of Frederick
Became
Road.
the
Yeah.
Pendleton Radiator Company.
That's correct.
Go on, carry on.
So thank you. So the next thing is, I was supposed to be learning to be a motor mechanic, but they had me cleaning these vans, and these vans were coming in 4 or 5 times a day, different vans. And on the vans it'd have I love Lionel, or I love Graham, I love Alan. And what it was that were called then Salford Van Hire, which I think the old van fleet.
Yeah, batchy.
And what they'd done, they'd hired the vans out to all these groups that were up and coming, of which I'm really over the moon. Oh, that could be the Hollies, that could be Wayne Fontana, that could be, you mentioned Lionel.
Yeah, Lionel out of the Four Pennies. Lionel
Martin.
Juliet.
was it Lionel Martin? Yeah, because I used to get
That's
mixed
it,
up with him.
Juliet.
With Lionel Merton, who was an American actor at the time. It was Martin, and Fritz Fryer played rhythm guitar with the Four Pennies. Yeah, I remember him well.
So from there, it still gives me this thing that, you know, somebody said, what do you want to be? And I went, oh, a pop star, you know. I'm thinking, all these lovely women, you know, drooling over me, which...
Well, like that, all these
but
lovely
in the end, I got Fred and Tony. So, anyway, so the next thing is...
Sissy and Ada.
Thank you.
Watch it, you. Saw your comments. Sissy. He thinks we dress up as Sissy and Ada, you know, Les Dawson and Roy Barraclough.
I don't think.
So, I started doing all these clubs and pubs, as I was saying, and I just felt I wasn't progressing. And the lads I was with them were getting, I wanted to bring you all like saxophone in and trumpet, trombone, keyboards. This was sort of unknown at that period, but I had all this thing in my head because there's groups going out there like Aiming Corner, people like that, and that to me was Sounds Incorporated.
Yeah.
John Schroeder.
Who Sounds Incorporated backed every 60s act you could think of, including the Beatles and Billy Furies and everybody. So anyway, in later years I never realised I've been meeting these and booking these, including your Billy Furies, not the Beatles. I did try. So anyway, that's another story in a minute. So the next thing was, I decided that I'd go a bit further, and then I went to see a guy in Monton who got invited to, Jim Shepherd, who owned the Princess Cinema. And Jim wanted a guitarist to go to Germany with a group that were working a brothel in Salford. It was called the Clues, not the Clues pub.
Clues Restaurant.
Clues Restaurant.
He used to be in there regular.
I was hungry.
Before he met the Hilarians.
This is where I met these two.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
Flynny the Pimp.
so the next thing is, I went along and I did the audition for these, but this group, believe me, was crap, to put it mildly. And all what I've learned over the years was sort of like, I'm thinking I've made a bad mistake here. Anyway, I started working with them. It started at 10 at night till 2 in the morning. And we got breaks, obviously.
No perks.
And then it was full of prostitutes working, waiting for all the lads off the boats that were coming up onto the ship canal then, or liners or whatever. And it was some amazing sights which I won't go into.
You can.
But it's in my book. It's in my book.
We'll plug the book heavily in a minute, right?
It's in my book.
Roy Mozley, The Untold Story.
Available then.
So the next thing is, I was working there with them, and then we got this opportunity to go and do an audition for Germany at Middlewich. So we went along with me. It was a civic hall. There must have been 1,000 people in there, and the groups that were on before us were really good. And I know that we've got to go on there, and I'm going on with a not so good group, put it that way. Went on this night, and they were good. I couldn't believe it. Next thing is, off we got to Germany. So we toured in Germany. This will be 1966, coming into 1967.
Yeah, Beatles era.
Sorry?
Beatles era.
Yeah, Beatles had been there, done it, you know, and they were coming into a different era then.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, I'm really impressed with this. But and some of the clubs on at 6 at night, hour on, hour off, all on until 6 in the morning. The lads I was with went into, let's say, the dopos. And I should have called the group the dopes, but I didn't, you know. So anyway, I stuck it out. Every time I couldn't get the money at the end of the month, I was getting literally nothing. Because these heavies, gangster lads over there, with guns, it might sound exaggerating, but with guns, were collecting the money, what these lads had had in all the dope stuff. But also, it was a place called the Star Palace in Kiel. Kiel was one of the deepest harbours in the world for all the German battleships and stuff. So, all these sailors there, but the waiters carried guns. So this place must have held 1,500 people at least. And some of the sailors absolutely legless. So then these heavies would come in, out, get out, and then get out, you know, pay your bill. Oh, we used to see this and stay, and we had to stay in the cellar and bunk beds, you know, freezing cold some nights, other nights, you know, whatever. Anyway, we did it, stuck it out for about 6 months. So I'm looking then, trying to form another band over there, trying to do, you know, more gigs with better musicians. But it weren't working better. So I come home with the group. They had no money. I had to pay what little money I'd saved up to get the ferry back over. So we landed at Dover at something like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then there, about 50 yards away, was Eric Burden, and his group were called War, Eric Burden's War. I'd also run into Eric in Dusseldorf in Germany. We've been supporting them. So he was quite an interesting guy anyway, but then the Customs and Excise had turned his van over and over and over, stripping out. We were lucky, you know, next thing is, and we drove off, that was it. So we got back home in Manchester, I think, I don't know, 6, 8, 9 in the morning, and I'd really had enough. So the next thing is, I said to the lads, leave your gear in the garage, the amplifiers and all that. Keep in mind the money that I must have lost then must have been about 400 quid. Now 400 quid then would probably be God knows what now, but a lot. So the next thing is, that was that. I knew the group was going to fold. That's another reason why I did it. So I then decided that what I'm going to do, I'm thinking what I'm going to do. My dad saying, get a job, get a trade, you know, your brother answered this, that and the other.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was seriously thinking about it. So I got a few jobs, you know, all dead-end jobs like. And one was at UCP Tripe. You like that?
Yeah.
At Monton Fields Road.
Yeah.
And they had me scraping pigs' bellies. And used to have all the weirdos, you know, I used to have them scraping it, working there with them, which was an absolute nightmare. But the best part of it was, I used to enjoy the tripe, believe it or not. So then somebody said, hey, go in that brown cow at Winton, the old brown cow.
Robinson's pub.
Yeah. So I went in the old brown cow, and the guy said, have you got your guitar with you? And I went, no, well, go and get it. And I said, no, I'll do that another night. He said, go and get it. I went and got the guitar, and I got up on the stage. Now, it's different if you've got lads behind you or with you, and I'm like this.
Solo.
Nervous. And the first song I opened with, which now I'm ashamed of, was, where have all the flowers gone? Now I go, oh, you know, whatever. So anyway, that was that. But then I started to learn more songs on my own. And as I did this, I was getting quite a good following there. And I didn't realise this. And a guy that used to work with my dad, a drummer called Jack Downley, he was a fantastic drummer. He used to get up on the stage, and we'd be bouncing it, not 30 minutes, like 50 minutes. Now it's a big timing, you know.
Yeah.
And they used to have all these old acts then, like Reedy Rhythm, and Johnny Tenerife, a colour bloke, you know, that from Winton, you know, that doing his Frank Sinatra bit. So we had all that, and then Next thing, but I was doing quite well. But then I'm getting all sorts of stuff coming in. And I used to dep on and off for the images at the talking off for Joe Fulham. So when the lads was off or night off or ill, I used to do it, which was great because they were great lads, you know. So that was that. Then I thought, I think it's time we started up again with a group. So I started all that off again with a group, and then getting some nice gigs. And then out of the blue, I got a call one day I was working in a club called at Lower Curzle Social in Lower Curzle, Salford. And they said, a guy called Jeff Speakman, he works for a guy called George Williams at Williams Garments in Salford.
Oh, yeah.
On Frederick Road.
Yeah.
And they're looking for somebody to do a compares job. And I said, yeah. So I went along and I had to do an audition that night. And I looked round, no drummer, no organist, so just me on a guitar, no microphone. So I had a microphone that plugged in and give it all that. So they give you the job. So next thing is, on the Friday, they were opening on Friday and Saturday. The place held about 650. It's quite nice, to be fair, and it was right next to Williams Garments. So that night, on the Friday, I come in like 4 people in. Oh, wonderful. But I had to go and do it, so I did it, whatever.
Was this the Conjuring Club?
Yeah, it became that.
Oh, yeah.
So the next thing is, I did this, and I did it on the Saturday, and I thought, oh, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me. They're paying good money. So the next day I said, right, the only way I'm going to stay if you get a keyboard and get a drummer in and a PA system. So I did that, and I said, I'd like to put acts in, proper acts. And George Williams said to me, go on, I'll give you, go on, have a go.
Yeah.
So I did. So I got a keyboard player. Then I brought a trumpet player out of the NDO.
Who was it?
Dave Browning.
Dave Browning did the theme tune to Coronation Street. Da, 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 da. But he didn't do it on a trumpet, he did it on a cornet. And when he did it, he was telling me this. He said he was offered 80 quid or residuals of 50 pence, 10 bob every time it was played. He said, you know, a musician, money in the hand, I'll have the money. He said, I've kicked myself something rotten since that day. Dave Browning, I knew him, and Roger Fleetwood.
He's on my record, Dave.
Is he?
With Mike Hale, yeah.
So would this be your introduction into like management then, right?
Sorry?
Would this be like your first introduction to managing groups and that?
Yeah, it
People,
was. Yeah. And what happened was then, I started to book acts for there.
Yeah.
And I went, I wonder what names would go appreciate here in Salford. Because then the Willows was available,
Yeah.
but not so many big acts were there then. And suddenly I thought, right, so I had a word with a guy that booked the acts for the Poco.
Yeah.
Stockport.
And that week,
Joe Lamb.
no, Joe Lamb was a manager, but then
Alan Kay.
Alan Kay was the owner. He was a bad bastard. Right? And I've got a story about him in a minute.
Yeah.
So the next thing, it was Vince Miller.
Still going today?
Vince Miller, his son's in Emmerdale.
Yeah.
But Vince, fantastic comic, fantastic bloke. So anyway, he said to me, Roy, he said, we've got Billy Fiore on next week, we've got the Chance on the week after, and I'm trying to think of the other name, I'll think of it in a minute. So Nancy Whiskey.
Freight train,
That's
going
it.
so fast.
So the next day I said, right, okay, so we've got Billy Fiore on. And honestly God, he looked ill then, but he walked in, and as soon as he walked in, it was like, we were packed. That was the first, I thought, I've done it, cracked it for the club. It wasn't me, the club.
Yeah.
So then the following week I had Dave Berry on, and then a David Garrick.
Oh, I remember David Garrett, yeah.
And then Nancy Whiskey, and Colin Crompton on.
Was Nancy Whiskey on her own or with Chaz McDevitt?
No, on her own, she fell out.
Oh,
Nancy liked a gay, like, you know.
Whiskey.
Yeah, I did say that. So anyway, he started to take off. Then I booked a guy called Shane Fenton and the Fentones, who in later years became Alvin Stardust, who were booked again, as Alvin Stardust at other clubs.
He was Bernard before that.
Oh, Bernard Manning was a regular. I used to promote boxing then there. And a guy called Roy J, he used to go, Kinnell.
Yeah,
You know,
right, Kinnell J, I remember.
He was a great act, but he was very unreliable. And he was heavily into drugs and what have you. He's dead now, God bless him. And then this night...
Kinnell.
Yeah, that's what I said. This night,
For libel laws.
all the boxing had finished. And the next thing, no, Roy J. I rang Bernard up, and I won't tell you what his words were. He said, I'm just going to F in bed. Anyway, Bernard came over, he's got his suit on, and he's got his pyjamas on underneath, they're hanging out the bottom of his trousers. Now, Bernard then was doing the comedians, and his money had gone from £100 a night to £1,000 a night. So I'm thinking, well, it'll have to come out of my money, you know, obviously. But this night, they were earning fortune for all the boxing, you know.
Yeah.
So this night, next thing is, Bernard goes on an hour, comes off, and I said, Bernard, what do we owe you? And he said, what have you paying that other bastard that never shown? I said, I was giving him 50 quid. He said, give me 50 quid. I said, I can't do that, what you've done. He said, no, give me 50 quid. I'll give him 100 quid. He went outside, and he'd had a purple Rolls Royce then, and somebody robbed all his tapes out of his car, you know. But another night, this little conjuring then was taking off, and I was doing all sorts of things in what I wanted to do, promotions and different things. And in the day, this is where, you might not believe this, but this is how I'll come in with you, Quality Street lads. This is where I was introduced to them. They were a nice set of lads, believe it or not. What they get onto is their business. But the thing being is, every day, something like 4 o'clock, all these different people have come in. Some prostitutes in, some the mayor of Salford, some MPs from Salford, and believe it or not, I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say it.
Sorry.
They were discussing compulsory purchase orders there, and I had to drop off the mayor of Salford after he lived on Tootle Drive at the time. Can't remember his
I
name.
know his name. Joe.
Joe, that's
what?
it.
The camera's rolling.
Yeah. And Joe Hardman, something like that.
I don't know.
So anyway,
Come on, say it, it's happened.
then it was, come on,
Come
that's
on,
I can't remember it now, honestly. Joe. Lived
So
on the
anyway,
corner house
Was
with-
it Pennington?
No, the best gardens in Salford here.
Who?
Get the best manicured gardens in Salford.
Yeah.
Done by the council, obviously.
Well, some MPs had duck ponds and moats, didn't they? He was only up and coming then, wasn't he?
Joe Burrows.
Yeah, Joe, that's it.
What's that? Sorry.
So this was an eye-opener. So then, one day, they said to me, I couldn't really afford, believe it or not, a decent suit. I had a suit that I had every night.
So at this point, we're still talking about a skint Roy Mozley.
Yeah.
At that point, you hadn't made anything.
Yeah, I'm not made a lot of money, but I'm beginning to earn.
You were
Don't
declared.
tell fibs. You're a millionaire, Roy. Now, come on. You can either answer me questions here or down at the station. Please yourself, sunshine. We've had to deal with chummies like him before.
The eye fielder.
Hey, Edgar Luscarton. Give us the impression. I believe you can do a good Edgar Luscarton.
No, I've got a bad throat.
Oh, come
I
on.
can't do it now.
Go on, you do
I'm
it.
going in throw by these stories.
Do it.
Corrupted in high
Do
places.
I'm trying to give him a break. His mouth must be dry. He's not had a drink since he sat
Answer.
down.
Yeah.
Need
Thank
vodka.
Yeah, need vodka. He's always been a lush, hasn't he, Roy?
Yeah, I'm really distraught.
Well, it started off at the Brown Cow on Robertson's Bitter and all that.
Oh,
But it's
is
now
it?
it's Lidl's now, and they still talk about him in Lidl's.
Champagne it is. I don't know.
Carry on, Roy. Sorry.
This is what I've got to put up with
We
now.
digress.
We call it Big Little, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, the conjuring then, I was doing all different things from boxing promotions.
Was that Anglo-American boxing?
No, it's just all the
British.
local teams
Okay.
getting against
Because
Manchester.
they started doing it at the New Century Hall, didn't they, later
That's
on?
right. That's right.
Alan Kay was involved in that.
Correct. So anyway, all of a sudden then I'm getting all these different things, charity dues. And one night, George Williams came in and he said, Roy, he said, I've got a big charity show on for the guy that was stealing the safe at Cousins'. And he said he fell through the roof and died. He said, so we're putting a big charity
Don't
show.
laugh, you know. This
I'm
is
not laughing. I'm just incredulous.
You'll love this bit. This is in my book. This
Book's
book.
that, Ron?
Roy Mozley, autobiography.
What
My
the book?
Untold
So-
Story.
The Untold
So
Story.
the next thing is, on the day of this charity, people were coming in with 30 handbags, 30 big old dolls, all brand new with labels on, you know, suits, every type of anything, televisions. And this inspector at Salford, I can't remember his name, believe it or not, and this inspector came in and brought in sort of lots and lots of baskets of hampers and all that lot. So all that side and that side at the Condren was full.
What year was this?
This would be about 74.
The bobby was called Jim Tumner from the Crescent in Salford.
73. I don't want to
Still
mention
in.
his name, but you seem to know him.
Wow.
So anyway, so the charging then, I think it was £10. £10 was a lot then. So anyway, next thing at night time, we're absolutely packed, right? So the girl, the wife of the guy that died, God bless him, is on the front row there. And then these other people coming in like Johnny Amp, believe it or not. Oh, there's other names I can't remember now, but lots of named people.
Yeah.
Lots of giant haystacks was there. The snooker player,
Higgins. Virgo.
No, John Virgo.
Virgo. All these different people are coming in, and they're all donating. And the next thing is, it's exactly as it went. I've done my bit, singing, you know, a few gags, but where and now, a couple of acts on, and then at the end of the night, they added up all the money, and they'd raised £7,500. A lot of money,
In
and all these
73,
things.
74, yeah.
So the next thing is, I had to get the girl up, and Johnny Amp and somebody else were going to present the thing. No, sorry, not Johnny Amp, one of the counsellors. And then, as this happened, they got the girl up, and they gave her a cheque for the £7,500, and she went, thanks, stuffed it down her bra, and said, fuck off, and walked off. And she walked off with a guy she just met that night. I'm thinking of a poor bloke, you know. But that was Salford at the, wasn't it? I don't realise it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from there onwards then, it was getting like, I was earning quite good money. Then they bought me a car, well, they gave me a car, brand new Capri. Then they asked me to go to Rosenfields in Shude Hill. And I got 3 suits. I was supposed to get one, but I
You're
got
doing
3.
very well, Brian Rosenfield.
Yeah.
Nice fellow.
So the next thing, I couldn't believe, but then I began to realise this is the Manchester, you know, overall, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, there was quite a few people, I think Cliff Middleton who owned, not Mill then, Modest Brown who was quite well known, another guy who, thing that I always remember, and people probably deny this, but I'll never forget it. I think the Israeli war was on at the time, and there was 35 helmets, steel helmets come over with different holes in them, shrapnel, whatever, you know, and that was it. And they went into Mandelbergs and they did them all up, welded them, whatever they did, repainted them, everything, and sold them back. That's what connections he had.
I used to go out with the girls at Mandelberg's.
Did you?
All of them.
All of them.
We have 2 mutual friends, you and I. One of them was Johnny Moore out of the Drifters. Belting fella,
Yeah, that's
Johnny,
right.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the other one was a girl called Carol.
Oh yeah, chippies.
And we had the pleasure.
I bet you still smell a fish.
Yeah, fish and chips. It was the best in Salford.
It was.
Which ship is
Wait, I don't want to mention it because he might know Carol Parker.
I do know her.
of Cross Lane?
Yeah, anyway.
She was a lovely girl.
She was telling me about Roy Mozley. It's the first time I'd ever heard the expression erectile dysfunction. And I didn't know what she was on about. Happy days, Roy. Because
So,
we're the same age. There's only a few months between you and I, aren't we? We're both the same age.
I think you're older.
No, I'm not. I just look a hell of a lot younger. And I've had COVID. I've still got it.
Milky.
Go on, carry on.
Right, so then I got to the stage where I thought, well, I knew that I could go and earn more money outside. So,
You're still skint at this time.
sorry?
You're still skint at this time.
Nearly, put it that way.
Oh, so you started making a few, Bob.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry. That's me flick now.
Oh, right, yeah.
There's Lionel on there. Lionel Morton. That's him. Lionel at the Four Pennies.
It's an Irish
It's not.
comedian, that.
His name's Mike Newman, a comedian. Irish comedian.
Of course it is. But he's got the same hairstyle as Lionel Morton had, didn't he?
Probably the
Who's the
same-
girl in
same
there? Who's
way.
that blonde girl?
That's Barbara Law. She was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Matt Monroe.
Tom
Yeah.
Jones.
Tom Jones.
And Joe Pullen.
Where's Joe? Is that Joe?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, he had hair then.
Wasn't his?
Didn't recognise him without his horse.
Right, so going back to it. So I've got all these infos and all the acts then and all that lot. And a lot of these acts, like the chants that are on there, later became
The real thing.
real thing. And a lot of other acts there that were there, and David Garrick was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But a lot of these had such a great following, like with Shane Fenton, Alvin Stardust. So then I decided, I put my notice in, and I was told, you're not leaving for 12 months.
Was this contractual?
I got the threat. So I thought, right, so I just went, right, sod it. And I went left. And I had all sorts. I gave the car back, and I kept the suits. And and the next thing is, Miller Bourne in Didsbury approached me. Miller Bourne was sending acts over to South Africa then, because South Africa was opening up. So I went to work for them, but I went to work for them at £40 a week. And then the next thing is, they had acts like the Foundations, the Casual, Sweet Chariot, lots and lots of acts, and all quite great acts like. So I'm then getting a lot more connections, Scotland, South Africa, Isle of Man, all these others. So it's all coming in. I'm thinking, 40 quid I'm learning. That's exactly. Night time, I'm at it again. And then a guy called Derek Johns, who used to run the games with a lot of other clubs.
Compare.
Yeah, well known in Salford. But
Yeah.
if he did every song he did, he changed his suit, didn't he? I don't know his suit, that's true.
Barney Davis was the same. Barney Davis, he was
Oh, no.
immaculate. Wouldn't sit down with his pants on with a crease in. He'd walk around for ages. Wouldn't sit down.
Yeah.
Very, very smart.
So going a bit, for not being rude.
No,
you have to
carry
sit down. So the next thing is, Derek rang me up and he said, "If you do me a favour, will you go and do a campaign at the Ocean's 11?" I said, "Jesus, right shit's it." And I went, "Jesus, go on, I'll do it." Now the bar then had to close at 10.
Yeah.
Why
But
was that?
also,
Why was
all
that,
it
though?
was full of stag nights, lads, maybe 300-400 blokes. And the keyboard and the drummer used to say to me, 10 o'clock, finish. I don't care if you're in the middle of a tune, song, anything, we finished. I went, all right, you know. In between, and I've got to introduce stripper, comedian, singer, stripper, and then a group, and then I go and start doing a song, and next thing is, the keyboard back, right, in the middle of the song, and they've gone. And what it was, it used to go off. It used to go off royal.
Did it?
So in the end, I used to do this club at Ocean 11 probably twice, 3 times a month.
Dickinson Road.
That's the one. It used to be top of the pop studio.
And it became Genevieve's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was that. And I'm thinking, I'm getting itchy feet now. I think it's making that initial break. And if anybody's watching this and you're thinking of opening your own business, do it. Absolutely do it. This was the hardest thing I found. And lots of advice, no, don't do it. So at the time then, I was in the process of nearly getting divorced from my missus, because I was all over the place then. So anyway, this day, I went to see the bank manager in Ethel Days at Royal Bank of whatever it
Scotland.
was.
No, it'd be William Glynn.
Well, it was in Glyn's, yeah. So I went to see him, and I said, look, I want to open my own agency, and I need an overdraft. He said, Jesus, Roy, you've got an overdraft already of 1,500 quid, you know.
Wow.
I said, yeah, but that's, you know, I said, well, I'll get that sorted. And he said, well, if you want a sort of grand. And the next thing he said, go on, I'll do it for you. I'm daft enough, I'll let you do it. That's the exact words. So I got a grand. Excuse me. So then, I've got the grand, and the next thing is, my missus then said to me, if you've got an overdraft, I want a divorce. I said, I've got a double overdraft.
Quite right, she should have stood
we
by you.
We got divorced, and we had a son, John, and who turned out to be not such a lovely lad. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I won't go into that, but it's in my book.
Just like his brother Oswald.
I'll sort you out with that in a minute. So anyway, the next thing is, I then get an offer to go and work with a guy called Roy Jackson at the Garrick Club in Lee. So they asked me to compare it and also work in the offices with the agency. It just fell out with another guy called Roy Hastings. He was a nice guy. He was quite successful and been in the same position as me.
Yeah.
You know, compare then open his own office. So that was that. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I did it, getting quite good. Then I met Joe Dolan, who I got on tremendously well with, and in later years started to do a lot of dates with Joe. We used to fly over to Mullingar and get picked up, and great nights, you know.
River Drifters.
Well, that was his band.
Joe
Yeah,
Dolan.
that's right. Yeah.
Not the Drifters, American.
Yeah, they had to change that to the Joe Dolan sound.
Did they?
Yeah. Because
It's like the
Drifters were
Shadows.
kicking it, yeah.
The Shadows came
Yeah,
on as the
that's
Drifters.
it, they kicked off
And they had
about
to
it.
become the Shadows.
So anyway, so that was doing all that, and then one night come the crunch, and there was Jane Vincent was on, and then the next thing is Jackson, big bloke, bit nasty when he had a drink, but the next thing is this night I'll never forget it. He always used to say to me, "Go and pay him off." I said, "Can't you do it?" He said, "Do you want to work here or don't you?" And I had to go in the little dressing room, half quarter the size of this. And I said, "I'm sorry, but I've got..." Roy Jackson asked me to tell you you're getting paid off. In other words, he don't want you. And the language used to be unbelievable. So this night, that happened a few times. This night, Jim Vincent, I said, "I'm sorry, but I've got to pay you off." And I said, "It's not me. Not me." I said, "It's Roy Jackson. The fucking big fat slob, the fucking this." And, oh, it was unbelievable. Next thing is, so I thought, right, I'm ready for going. So the next thing is, Granada, Jackson somehow got it on Granada. So the following night, Jane Vincent sat here at scene at 6:30, I think it was.
Yeah.
Roy Jackson's here, and Jane Vincent's in the middle. Not in the middle, the newscaster was in the middle, whoever it was. Tony Wilson.
No, it wasn't
Bill
Wilson.
Grundy.
then.
Billy Grundy.
Bob Greaves, isn't it?
It was Bill Grundy, Mike Scott, and Gay Byrne. It was seen at 6:30, but before that, it was People and Places. So you're right, in as much that
What
it
year was
was.
this then, right?
It was Bill Grundy that night.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, they're arguing between them, and Jackson's got a big cigar, and very cool, and Jim Vincent went, "You're just a big, fat, fucking cigar smoking slob." And fuck off and walked off. Yeah. And he got his money through musician equity.
Equity, yeah.
But that was, and I thought, Jackson had a terrible, terrible name. And so anyway, I thought, right, so I went back to Millerbourne.
Did he do this live? Did he say it would have been live in those days?
That was live.
Because
That was as well.
Bill Grundy eventually got eventually
Sex
got
Pistols.
sacked with the Sex Pistols because he used the F word. I'm surprised it lasted so long after Gene Vincent, because our mate Jed Ford from the Millstone used to be his manager, his road manager.
Well, another thing with Bill Grundy, lovely, and his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember his son.
Bill
Tim-
Grundy
Tim- Tim
introduced
passed-
originally,
Tim Grundy.
when Johnny Amp got the
Yeah.
Beatles at Granada, which I've spoke to John a few times. You don't get him on here, you'll love it.
Who, Johnny Amp?
Yeah.
Know him very well. Anvi, his wife, she's
Yeah.
passed away.
Yeah, you don't get John on here.
Yeah.
But Johnny Amp, he's telling me stuff about the Beatles and all that lot. And what's her name? He took another date on him at Granada.
Yeah.
And loads, thousands of people outside, you know.
Yeah.
And Bill Grundy did the interviewing. And then the next thing is, because he was quite straightforward, Grundy,
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
So the next thing is, that was that. So they got another date, and when they got the date, they said to, what's his name, the manager?
Epstein. Brian Epstein.
Yeah, Brian Epstein rang up and said, oh, I'm going to change the date. And Jenny Amp said, you'll never work in television again if you do. That's what he said. Anyway, he said, oh, right. So they did the next date, but the next day, Grundy was off ill or something, and Tony Wilson did it.
Yeah.
And John Lennon, live on the show, said, oh, bring back Bill Grundy, will you? Get rid of him.
Yeah.
So,
There's footage of that.
but
isn't there?
in later years, Tony Wilson then, with a great friend of mine who sadly is not with us anymore, Dougie James.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'd worked all the clubs with Dougie James when he was with a duo called Intrigue, Steve Foley and him.
Oh, Steve.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, and then I managed then, with the money, the overdraft, to open my office up in Oxford Street, above Fagan's, St James's building.
I bet you popped in the Coino for a curry from time to time.
No.
Did you not? It was right next door, wasn't it?
Yeah. So what I did was I opened it up there. I couldn't really, the expenses, I had one phone and the lights, the fluorescent tube, the electric weren't on in these offices.
Yeah.
So I'd run a wire all the way down to the fruit machines in Pagans. I used to plug it in. I said, dead truthfully. John Bagnall, who was my partner in later years.
I remember, John. Who was Compare at Fagan's at this time?
We had Jack Diamond, we had Johnny Martin,
Pete Price.
Pete Price. Yeah. I looked after Pete
They were all
Price.
gay. Jack Diamond, Pete Price.
Johnny Martin wasn't though.
Oh, no.
He just helped them out when they were busy. so anyway, John Bagnall later, we bought Fagan's
Yeah.
and we became partners.
Did you own the underneath as well, rafters?
Yeah,
Right, okay.
yeah. It became Gillies Rockwood.
Gillies.
Yeah,
Well,
but you must have bought it off Takis then,
Correct,
the Greek guy.
yeah.
Right, okay.
So that was that. So anyway, but then I'm going into a different era because all the punk scenes are kicking off then.
Don't start spitting in here.
I went
punk
to a few punk gigs downstairs at Gillies.
That's right.
I saw Elvis Costello there. I think I saw the Stranglers, a few.
Yeah, you would. Well, he got changed in the office.
Did
Yeah, Elvis Costello.
he? His dad was,
Declan McManus.
yeah, the band leader.
Secret Lemonade.
He's with Joe Loss, singer.
Yeah. Did you know, he was a big pal of mine, Phil. He was in A Taste of Funny. Phil Moss.
Yeah, I did.
He ran the Phil Moss Orchestra. Well, he was fourth trumpet with the Joe Moss Orchestra.
Yeah.
You know, funny, innit? All these intertwining stories,
Well,
right?
I'll go back to that in a second.
Yeah,
But many years ago, when the new Brown Cow opened,
yeah.
we used to have a band in there called the Steve Lawrence Band. And one night, I was very friendly with Billy Tarmy.
Oh, yeah.
And Billy used to get up with him and they said, hey, come on. And I got up, then I started singing with the band. Then Billy went on to other things. And Billy used to say to me, why don't you get down to Granada to get 100 odd quid a day? I said, I can't do it, I'm not doing that. Come on, you're going to do it. Billy does it. And he took, so I was dead proud for him. I really was.
He was a doorman at the Condren Club, or a singer at the Condren Club
The
years
Compare,
before.
Billy took over after me.
Compare.
Yeah.
I knew he had some connection.
And they kept the same musicians like. So anyway, so that was that. So then I've moved on to Millerborn and then I'd opened my own office on Oxford Street. And then I'm getting people I never dreamed I'd be getting in. And I had a girl who worked for me called Lillian King, who used to be the secretary at Millerborn, who later worked for me for years and then became a PC in the police and then became a superintendent in the police, but lived with Julie Goodyear.
Oh, yeah?
So the next thing is, God bless her, yeah, she said to me one day, how would you like to represent some of the Coronation Street people? I said, I'd love to do. So I started doing lots of dates for them and garden paints and stuff like that.
Yeah, opening things.
So anyway, the next thing is, all that came off, and so that was another section. So I've got that section, Then Dougie came in the office, who was still doing dates for Dougie, as he was Dougie James Soul Train then. And Dougie said, I'm starting doing all this punk scene with Elvis Costello come in, all the weirdos, you know, all that dance.
Stranglers.
Yeah, Tony. So anyway, the next thing is all this was happening, and then I've got an office doing cabaret. I've got an office doing bookings. I've got an office doing all the weirdos, you know, the punk stuff, and then I've got the office doing that. So I've got 5 or 6 offices.
So this is the beginning of the Mozley fortune, right?
So it's all happening. So then I'm getting a bit sure then that I felt more confident.
Blasé.
That's the word. So then I decided that I heard that the talk of the North was on its arse, excuse my language.
No, you're right, it was.
And the next thing, so I approached Joe Fulham, and he said, you can't afford it. That's what he said.
Joe was like that.
So the next said, so how much do you want for it? And he said, oh, 100 odd grand. I said, is that for the freehold as well, like? And he went, yeah. So I said, no, I'm not paying that, you knackered it. I said, yeah, it's a very successful club. Oh, don't bother, put the phone down on me. That was that. 6 months later, I get a call, it's Joe.
On his ass.
He said, if you're interested in buying, I'm quite interested in selling, I'll do it for 70. And I went, no, I'm not interested in that, no. I said, there's nobody going in. I said, it needs renovating, everything completely. Well, come and see me. I said, I will do when I get a chance. I thought I'd play you again.
Yeah.
You know, keep it in mind over the years, he's been one of them blokes that suppressed me. I mean suppressed me. And the next thing is, I passed the audition for Opportunity Knocks years ago.
What, with your guitar?
Yeah,
As what? As Roy Mozley, or did you have a stage name?
Roy Mozley.
All right.
I never altered the name.
Did you?
No, not even the S. So,
The spelling, no.
No, I said to him before when we were chatting, on his early days when it used to be compare Roy Mozley, it always said Mosley. And I said, what's the idea of sticking the Z in, Roy? He said, it's always been the Z. It was the misprinters or the people that didn't know how to spell Mosley that put the S in. So it's always been a Moz rather than a Moss.
Roy in the black shirts.
I got it right.
There you go.
All right. Let's have a look at the group.
Marmalade, Paper Lace, Altitude, The Cresters, John Anthony, Paul Rafferty.
Who's that at the top?
Pink
Vince
Tunes
Miller. Look at
Miller.
Vince Miller then before.
Green Chariots. Let's give their book a big plug there.
Sweet Chariots. Ronnie Grundy, Pete Oliver, Stuart Banham.
Let's fleet through them.
There was a Stuart Grattage at one time. Who else was in Sweet Chariot? There were Dave Barron and the Chariots. I'll tell you a funny story about. I used to do the Dockers Club and all the mobile discos. And when,
Coronation Street.
well, let's have a look.
Ken Barlow.
I was on Coronation Street, you know,
Alan
part
Worth.
of the cast
yeah.
in 1990. Yeah, 1990. I was a spear carrier, an extra in the background.
And you managed all these, haven't you?
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
William Roach.
Jeff Hughes.
Lynn Perry, she liked to drink, didn't she? I think it's safe to
Lynn.
say.
Yeah, Dougie
You
Brown's
looked to be a bit
sister.
of Scanson, right?
Was Dougie Brown's sister Lynn Perry?
Yeah, she was.
She had some lips done,
That's why she got sacked.
was it?
Bloody hell, some names in here, isn't there?
Tony Kent.
I think you must have sacked him, did you?
Tony Kent.
I've got room here, he's a bit of a, you know.
Who's that?
Oh, can't say.
Johnny Wager.
Oh, don't know. It looks like Alan Price, to be honest.
Tony Kent.
John Anthony.
Yeah. She wears my ring.
Yeah, didn't he go
Not
on?
if you were gay, he wears my ring.
I've got to ask you this one question, right? You put a photograph on
Sorry?
the band. I've got to ask you this question because it's fascinating. But the Ladybirds,
Yeah, yeah.
the topless
Well, what?
band.
I've got to tell you, many years ago, I got a call from a guy in Sweden, no,
Denmark.
in Denmark.
Yeah.
And he said he interested, now then at the time, to go topless on anything and photographs were illegal.
Yeah.
So at the time I went, yeah, I'm interested, tell me more. So I've got a group here that's topless, fantastic musicians, and they go topless. And I went, oh, right. So I said, what they call it? He said, the Ladybirds.
Yeah.
So I said, can I audition them first?
Yeah.
So anyway, the next thing is, they started laughing like, and the next thing is, I did a deal, and I booked them think there's 7 shows, right? Now in Manchester, social clubs, pubs, clubs, everything. And the last show I had was at the Mersey Hotel at Didsbury, at Charlton.
I used to go for a drink in a caravan at the back of the Mersey Hotel with Joseph Locke. He had a caravan at the back, Joe, and I booked him at the Willows on the St George's Day. And the first thing he said to the audience, he said, "Jesus!" He said, "Look what Fred's gone and done. He's only booked a paddy on your St George's Day." And then he sang, "You went in to hear my song," and that. Great character, Joe Locke.
Yeah,
Sorry, carry on.
Sid Lawrence used to rehearse there at the Mersey,
Sid Lawrence, yeah.
and Les Dawson. So this night, I took a night on, but there weren't a ticket sold, right? Not a single ticket. So the next thing I'm thinking, what shall I do? What shall I do? And I went, one of the lads said, "Tell you what I do." I think it was Bernard, to be honest with you. Get onto the Women's Institute, right? And next I got onto them and said, "It's disgusting this. All this girl going wrong with, you know, whatever." And, you know, I said, "Absolutely disgusting, stop laughing you." So anyway, next thing is, following day, about 20 women walking past with banners. "This should never be allowed, it's illegal. Women's bodies are this, that and the other, you know."
Publicity.
And honestly, and they're going round and sit like this. And they're not for a minute, for about a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So next thing is, somebody else, not me, something who worked for me, rang Granada. So Granada filmed it and it's shown at 6:30. The following night we sold out of a big ticket. But the girls, honestly, they're lovely girls. Yeah. And they weren't embarrassed or anything. It's like, but the classic of this was, 2 years later, a friend of mine brought them over and they were naked. The guitars giving it
fully
all
naked.
Honestly, I didn't find it very funny.
How low was the guitar? Was it up here like that?
Funny.
I know, because I looked into these and they supported Led Zeppelin, believe it or not.
Yeah.
The Led Zeppelin with them were called the New Yardbirds. It was like the Ladybirds and the Yardbirds.
Oh, what a love.
But whatever. Oh, that picture's disgusting.
That was a talk, that.
Oh, is this the one that says about the Bonzo Dog Band? I think I've seen this one before. There's one that said...
Duncan Norville's quite
Chase,
poorly, isn't he?
Oh,
Duncan Norville is quite poorly now.
it's not bad now, believe it or not. I still speak to Duncan.
Oh, good.
Bernard Manning.
Reg Coates.
But he's a fantastic actor, Duncan.
Oh,
yeah.
no, not just chase me.
Reg is now not doing anything, I believe.
He's retired now, Reg.
He's
in
known
touch
in the
with him.
trade as Veg and 2 Veg.
Yeah.
Because he used to put stuff
I'm
down.
yeah. This one here about Duncan Norville was another guy that was excellent, and he's really poorly now. Wayne Dobson.
Yeah, he is really ill.
He was brilliant. He did the voices where the ventriloquy type where he's trying, "Are you all right, right? Yes, thank you. Are you all right, Flynny? Oh, bugger off." He did that. He was the origins of that, Duncan Norville.
That's there when I didn't have it. But Bob was my manager at the Talk of the North. Sorry. Bob True, who was an excellent
Do it
manager.
this way out of the light so we can see.
And that is Lovelace Watkins.
Yeah.
Oh, he married a docker's daughter.
So, yeah. Medigate.
Yeah, Medigate Road. Hey, you get around, don't you? How do you know about Medigate Road?
Right, would you mind telling us about the David Essex booking?
Right, I'm just looking here. I thought he had the thing there. I booked David Essex for one night, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I wanted to try getting the bigger stuff in. And I booked and I paid him £8,000 for one night.
One night?
One night. Now, it was, believe it or not, I realised then because a lot of the clubs then weren't getting the acts because we were starting to do theatres. And I'm thinking to myself, the club's big enough, still enough to make money on it. Or even break even. Because that will, if I've got that out, every night, when I've got a big act on, they're taking that home and going, "Oh, we'll book that for the following week."
Yeah.
And it worked that way. So anyway, so I booked David Essex, and then next thing is, I didn't know, but he's got a bit of a, God bless him, he's got a bit of a pigeon chest. It's always like that, you know.
Who's this?
David Essex.
Get off.
Oh,
make clothes don't
it does.
Oh no.
Your turn.
Sounds like Billy Bradshaw. I'll stick with Edgar Luscott.
So anyway, this night I had to have because I changed into a bigger act, I needed to up the electricity.
How did you get your £8 back for the one night appearance?
So the next thing is, I put in a 3-phase then for the big, things.
Big lights.
So that cost me £1,000.
Hmm.
And keep in mind that I had like 2,500 theatre lights in that club.
This is all the talk of the North now.
Yeah, before I took it on, believe it or not, Joe had about 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter anybody says.
The
that's
stage
what,
still come up out on the deck.
Yeah, it wasn't when I took it on. Because I'm going from story to story, but I'll come back to you.
That's what we do. We digress.
What happened was, and when I spoke to Joe, I was going to buy it. But in between, and I think of his name in it, there's an accountant who was a bit shady, put it mildly, and that was definitely shady. And he got it he bought the talk off Joe for next to nothing. And he also got blighties. Now, I believe that the brewery definitely put something like 300 grand in the talk, interest free, and they got it back in beer. And I believe that he got blighties for a similar thing. Now, what made me laugh there, they had a manager there at Blighty's who then took over as running the Talk of the North when they opened it.
Mm.
And they tried it first as a cabaret club.
Yeah.
But they're not being clever, they were out of their depth completely.
Sure.
And if you're going to run a club, and that's, even to this day, I'm very strict this way. And I was at Pagans, and I even do shows at night now. And I make sure if any dickheads, no booze stuff coming in, no. At the Talk, I used to get the doorman search the handbags of the women. They were the worst.
Oh, bringing in their own vodka.
Absolutely. And it wasn't our prices, it's because they thought they'd get away with murder with it, And one of them, a copper's wife, believe it or not, for metals, she used to bring more or less an old doll in with it.
Oh, this will be Inspector Ledbetter's wife.
No, it wouldn't, but I know what you mean. So anyway, so that was
slander today, isn't there?
So this night, it was. I knew that. So I got all the door and I said, whatever happened, none of your mates coming in at 10, 11, 12, think they're getting in and out. There's a camera up there, and I said, everybody comes through that door pays. Don't care what it is. Okay, right. And I used to work. I don't mean this tough, because I'm not. And I used to work the doors on a Friday and Saturday till about 11:30. And I'd still have, because I knew with all the lads, and I'd still say, he's not coming in. No, he's not coming. Oh, come on, Roy, you get all that. I said, no, not coming in. That's it. And that's, you get slagged off anyway, so it's a difference.
Sure.
So that was that. So this night I got them all tamed up, and it was packed, sold out, everything. We're actually making money. We were definitely making money. So next thing, David Essex asked me to go down to the dressing room. So then I go to the dressing room, and he's got all these weirdos, the band, they're down here, and it stunk of, weed, everything. So anyway, the next thing is, he said, have you read my call sheet?
Right up.
Which I've got it somewhere, I thought he had it here. And it had something like, David this, David that, David that, and it's like that. It was down. I'll send you a copy, but they see what I'm on about. Mm. And then it's got at the bottom, I will require 4 trays of sandwiches assorted for the road crew. I'll require another 4 for the group, the band. I'll require 2 bottles of whiskey, 2 bottles of gin, 2 bottles of Bacardi, something else, plus top-ups, cokes and all that lot. Is that mine?
It must be yours.
Please.
I'll run and get it.
Sorry.
Oh.
So then we said, and it goes on, and when I finished, at least a quarter of that was for demands. Thank you.
Might be important that, Roy, just check it.
Sorry about
The
that.
beauty of
It's all
this
right.
life.
Yeah.
While we're on a bit of a break for a second, Ian Poplarkin says Talk of the North used to be the Majestic Ballroom, and he said he's had Roy on Salford City Radio on his show.
Who?
He says Roy's been on his Salford City Radio show.
Poplarkin.
Ian Poplarkin.
Poplarkin.
You've been down to Salford City Radio on Pop Larkin's programme
Years ago.
years ago.
Get back to David Essex.
Hang on, are we rolling?
I had
We're still rolling.
That Pop Larkin, I had the girl who does a lot of work for me, I had to ring Pop up to ask it back off. It was honestly Charlie's antics, but not normal antics. You know, like that. We all, no, like you do. No, like you know. But it was, I had to ring him up and tell him, I said, lay off, stop it now, otherwise I'll put it on Facebook. And then you'll know.
Well, it's on Facebook now.
Yeah. Good. No, we don't get it touch, he knows. Knows.
Right, I'm having a bit of fun, ain't you, Pop?
I've got to say this. You were the first, I think, take that.
Yeah, I've got photographs
I
here.
know, what year was that? That was
1992.
1992. Take that, you put on.
What it was, that's Lenny Henry in a minute.
Yeah.
That's me. Sorry, won't be a minute.
No.
Me.
Let's have a look at that one here, though, with your flares on. Have you still got those flares? They're coming back, you know.
I've lent them you.
Hey, I tell you what, you cut quite a dashing figure there with your mutton chops down here.
Well, Bernard said to me, are you on the phone, Roy, or are you growing sideboards? That is the lead up for Miss World in Gibraltar, 1974,
Yeah.
with a 35-piece orchestra. And I met the bass player out the Shadows who was on holiday, and Ray Allen, Lord Charles.
Silly arse.
And Stu Francis were on the same show with me.
Oh, I could crush a grape.
That's it.
I've worked with Stu
So
a
that
few
was,
times.
that was a tremendous, honestly. And they asked me to do Malta, but I couldn't do it.
You know, all the times you were doing this on stage and all that lot, did you attract any women into your life?
Bastard.
Here we go, then. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Excuse me. Yes. I did, I'm afraid. Yes.
No, there's nothing to be afraid of. We've already found one girl in common that we knew. Happy days, Roy.
That was last week.
That was before we couldn't do it, wasn't it? What's this record here? Let's have a look here. What does that say to me? I've not got me. I've got.
Something Keeps Calling Me Back by Roy Mozley. Now that became a big
Wayne
soul
Fontana.
record.
Wayne
Something
Fontana
Keeps
did that.
Calling Me
That's
Back.
right.
Something Keeps
Northern
Calling Me
Soul.
Back.
But that's on Northern Soul, and they're charging 33 quid a record now.
Yeah.
And they're sold out now again.
Frank Wilson, Do I Love You, went for £25,000 to a collector, and then 3 weeks later they re-released it on CD.
Yeah, but yeah,
Frank Wilson, Do I Love
They
You.
got it on vinyl, didn't they?
There's the original Lernon's Hermits.
That would be Carl Green, Keith Hopwood, Lech Leckenby, Barry Whitwam. I've not missed anyone else. They didn't like Peter Noon.
And I don't like spoke to him
People
last year.
getting a kick in, aren't they?
They didn't like him.
Why?
He's the most arrogant person you can ever meet. Honestly.
That doesn't
Do you
look
think
like.
we'll be broadcasting next week?
That doesn't look
Yeah, we're
Awesome
fine.
sounds.
We're fine.
Right,
That
here's
doesn't
your,
look-
this is now,
Oh, that is the one.
take that, rehearsing at Talking Off, 1992.
Oh, yeah.
There's Robbie Williams,
Yeah.
there's Gary Barlow.
He's got his own brand of wine out. Seriously, yes.
Have you got any photographs of some of your old girlfriends we can have a look at?
No.
Right, would it be rude to ask, how much would Take That have charged in 1992?
So the second.
How much would they have charged in 1992? Any idea?
How much I charge?
No, how much would they charge to appear at Talk at North?
Well, I got them for 1,400 quid for 2 shows.
Well, matinee and
One at 5 o'clock
yeah.
and one at 11 o'clock. And with packs on both. And it was, and that one, the following night, Danny Vitesh, who
Oh yeah.
Kennedy Street,
Kennedy
Danny,
Street.
yeah.
Management, yeah.
Danny came in and we're having a chat and he said, I've got to ask you, he said, how did you Take That on that stage? I said, quite easy, you know, very accommodating. He said, you know, Roy, he said, now, this was then, and that'll be 20 years ago, this. Now, he said, they're getting 95,000 a night, then.
90 grand?
Now I can tell
Almost
you
as
now,
much as I
when
pay
they
you,
did it
Tony.
together, you'll love this, they were getting just under £1 million a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the tickets to the punters was like 150 quid, weren't they?
Yeah.
The tickets weren't cheap, so you get that. Might sound a very inflated figure, but when you consider,
That's when I had a bit of weight on. George Best.
Georgie there.
I've done a few dinners
Is that
with
you,
George.
Roy?
Yeah. And that's Mary Slavlin.
Oh, yeah. Georgie Best.
She was with him trying to straighten him out. I did a few gigs with
George, one of my heroes, George.
with Ronnie Camilleri. Not Ronnie Camilleri, John Camilleri at the Samuel Platts. I did a couple of dinners with George, and that Mary was with him then trying to straighten him out.
I used to do a lot of dates to look after George, and he did the swinging bridge for me as a favour.
That's right, yeah. Jens,
And,
Jens had the
You know, a lovely guy, and I met him at the Midland Hotel at 12 o'clock one lunchtime. And as we're there, we're having a coffee, and he's got a brandy, and another brandy.
How unusual.
And then this guy comes up, an Indian guy, with a very, very young wife, and some young kids, Ben Kingsley.
Oh yeah,
He hadn't made
a name for himself.
And he went, oh, he made a name for himself, but he walked in front of us, we were talking. And he, I'm Ben, and George, all right. Then, you know, that's what happened that day.
Ben and I were patrons of the Manchester Children's Hospital together.
Yeah?
Yeah, me and Ben Kingsley. He was the son of a GP.
From Scarborough.
Was he from Scarborough? I didn't get that far with him.
Scarborough.
That's in Gibraltar, with the Tories Ford and Stu Francis.
Oh yeah. Is that? I think it's a woman, that, isn't it?
That there is Lenny Henry in the early days when he first won New Faces.
God.
And that's my son from my first marriage. And Lenny was great, and a lot of dates that I put in for him struggled badly because he was learning his trade. And I kept in touch with him for a few years, and for some reason I don't speak now, I don't know why. You know.
Sir Lenny Henry.
So, yeah,
That's probably why.
it's Lenny to me.
But some people, once they achieve. When I got my MBE, I lost a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, through just jealousy. Daft. Stamford Arms. That's
You
remember
got the
Stamford.
MD,
Yeah.
I got the CDM.
Cadbury's Dairy Milk.
I got the HBE, hard boiled egg.
Now here, that there, who is it?
Let's have a look. Gary Glitter.
Yeah.
Paul Gadd.
Paul Raven.
Paul Gadd.
Paul Gadd then.
Well, you.
Paul
me,
Gadd.
to me,
That's out of the book, the German book.
Do you know, it's a shame because I wanted to be in his gang. His gang. I wanted to be in his gang, yeah.
What happened with that, when I was in Germany in 1966, 67, I was supporting Gary Glitter. It was called Paul Raven and the Boston Show Band.
That's right.
The group were absolutely brilliant, absolutely. He was a showman, excellent. Voice, terrible.
Yeah.
But I never realised in later years, and I emphasise this, that I'd end up doing all the tour dates through Angie McCartney and Ruth McCartney. That's Paul McCartney's stepmother and stepsister. And I've got, there's loads of stuff, you know, you'd never fill this table with it, not being clever.
No, you're not.
And then we did all these, went all over the place, Ireland, Sweden, everywhere with him. And it was still a pain in the arse, truthfully. And then I'd never forget, I had him working in Cardiff, Troubadour in Cardiff. And the next thing is, Chelsea were playing Swansea and they were staying at this hotel where we were. And then just before Glitter's due for leaving for the club, he's there, and Jeff Hurst was there, he was managing them.
Scored hat-trick, that lad.
What a lovely guy. And I chatted to him, and he was on his own at first, and I was chatting to him about football, obviously. And then the next thing is, he said to me, how do you put up with him? I said, who? And he said, him.
Leader!
I said, I tolerate, that's for the truth. And then that was it. And then I had lots of other silly problems. You know, I can't say some of these problems on here, and then I can't really say them in my book. But I could assure you they were with him.
Persuasion.
I hope Gary doesn't see this in his little cell in Thailand. Is he still in the nick, Gary?
No.
Yeah.
I think he's in Thailand, isn't he?
I don't know.
Did
That there is me, Johnny Ant, Neil Midgley.
Yeah,
what a
really.
great lad.
Yeah.
I was at his funeral, and do you know who sang? Bernard Manning and Vince Miller. They sang at the side of the altar. I loved Midge. Do you know if you had Midge doing after dinners, you didn't need a comic, you didn't need an MC, you could do it all.
Midge used to do a lot of dinners, and I used to check him. So a lot of dudes I was putting on.
Yeah, Neil Midgley. And Barbara, his missus.
Yeah, I spoke to her 2 days ago.
Have you seen his headstone? He's up in Clifton in that little church. It's got a referee's book on it and a little whistle. Now, one of my big pals who we used to go into Wendover with was Jackie Blanchflower and his wife Jeannie.
Yeah.
And Jackie Blanchflower Midgley used to come in a lot, Neil, and he shouted across him, "Oh, there you are! Is it yourself, Midgley? Sponsored by Optrix." Belting fella.
Well, Martin Buchan, the United captain, used to work for me when he left Old Trafford at the Talk of the North.
As what?
As a manager.
All right.
And he saved me a lot of time and effort. And he worked with me for about 3 years. Lovely guy.
Can you hear that? It's a nightingale. Can you pick that up on your mic?
I thought it was a libel suit flying past.
Florence there.
Florence Nightingale.
No, can you stop now?
Is it ode to a nightingale?
That's in the there's Martin
Yeah.
in the casserole with Bernard.
Tony Steenson.
Martin.
I know Tony very well.
Oh, aye. Look at Sweeney there before he had his hair cut. Who's this at the end in the white jacket?
Tony Steenson.
Is he a footballer?
No, he's a bit of an agent of sorts.
That one there is Roy Clark, a Man City player, me, Mike Sweeney, and Tommy Docherty.
Tommy Doc.
That's another evening there at the casserole.
Tommy Doc, every time he did an after dinner, it was the same stories. Never changed it.
Well,
No.
when I had him on at the Swinging Bridge,
Yeah.
he'd been up to Glasgow. He'd been to watch Rangers and Celtic,
Yeah.
and he drove down obviously with K-Lide, and he arrived at the Swinging Bridge at 7 o'clock. And the next thing is, we used to start about 7:30 food and all that,
Yeah.
you know. And then one of the lads come up and said, "He's fast asleep on the toilet." So next I went banging on the door, you know, I said, Tommy, wake up, blah, blah, blah. And he's getting all the language. And the next thing, I said, "You're on?" He said, "Oh, no, I'm not doing it." I said, "If you're not off the toilet in a minute, there's a bucket of water coming over." And I would have done, I admit it.
Yeah.
And next thing is, he come out, pulled his pants up, he did it as if he's had a drink.
Really?
Yeah, now getting a bit further. What happened was, when I sold everything, I went to live in Tenerife.
Los Americas?
Yeah, I did. And I ended up, I thought, I'm not doing it, I'm retiring. And what I did, I retired. I'd only been there 2 weeks, and I bought a bar, and then I bought another bar, and another bar, and I ended up with 4 bars. But then, when I came back, I bought this off the liquidator.
What canal's that on?
Here,
Worsley
Lim.
Canal?
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater Canal.
Lim.
What have you done with that?
Got Cheshire Lady, I sold it, and that's being used in Manchester now.
It was like a cabaret boat, was it, right? Something like that.
I had that as a cabaret, dinners, full dinners,
Right.
full dinner.
Let's have a look at that.
It was nothing like that when I took it on.
Get something like 25 covers there. How many covers was there?
65.
65. You must be halfway down the boat then doing that one.
Getting them down pallets.
Yeah. Right.
Me and Bernard
You ever been fiddled in this business?
fiddled.
Yeah.
Had a few try.
Have you? But has anybody ever succeeded in pulling one over you?
No.
Well, there you go. He thinks he's getting a fee for today. We pulled one over on him, haven't we?
Right, bring it up to date, because we've only got 5 minutes after the filming.
I've got a load of contracts here.
Right, well, we're not signing them.
Yeah.
You're still in the business, aren't you, then, in this trade?
I've got to work.
Yeah.
I have got to work. I've been looking around your garden to see what I could nick. No, I've been looking around your garden, seriously. And I think you've got a fabulous place. And
Thank
like
you.
your stuff.
It'll be on camera anyway.
No, it is. It's really good gear. But the thing being is, I've got to work. I love working.
You're a workaholic.
Yeah.
And you'll never ever stop. Do you know you'll die signing some artist up? That's how you'll go. Like Tommy Cooper did. Tommy Cooper died on stage. You'll do the same, Roy, because it's in your blood and you can't help it. It's a disease. It's a nice disease when you meet all these people that are influential and all that lot, but you can't get out of it.
If I walk in a place or to drive past a place, I think, oh, that'll make a chippy. That'll make an offer, which I've done over the years, worstly, altering them.
You're one of these guys that when you get in bed, you do all your thinking, and you can't sleep for ages. You're thinking about things.
Depends who I'm with.
Hang on, it's got one here for Roy. Sorry, it's with Des O'Connor. £2,000 payable in cash on the night.
Cash.
Cash.
So
Cash-
I was on the
cash
fiddle then.
con-
You should send that to the Inland Revenue.
Cash O'Connor.
Nothing.
Cash O'Connor, yeah.
Roy
Yeah,
Chubby
that's it.
Brown, £4,000 a night.
Oh, Gary, do you want to be in my gang, my gang?
On Bunkhouse, £5,000 a night. God, a bunch
So when you knew him, was he bang at it with young girls?
Hey, come on now. Come on,
I'll
Fitz.
tell-
Good
honestly,
word,
though,
Fitz.
if
Come
I'll
on.
tell you something now. You might say it'd be ridiculous, but if I'd have thought that, I wouldn't have entertained him.
I'll be damned.
I'd have
Did you
just-
see any evidence of it?
No, I never seen anything. But if I had have known anything, I'd have put somebody else in to do the tours, not
Sure.
me. I was on every tour of it.
This is a wig he's wearing, isn't it?
The what?
Gary Glitter, that's a
Yeah,
wig.
He's from Wigan.
Yeah, he always had very sparse hair growth, didn't he?
Yeah.
Now that he's in prison, I've seen some things on Discovery Plus where he's just bald now.
He used to carry a box of them.
Did he?
Yeah, honestly. They'd already made him wig on.
The book ride. When is it? Have we got a publication date?
It's going to looking. I've got to change all this. I don't like
Yeah,
it.
the artwork. Yeah.
See that staircase that he stood on? It's that one there.
Yeah, I believe you.
Same spiral staircase.
Should have told me that.
There's all bits of glitter dust on it.
Let's
if you
just
have a
get back to the book.
That's one
Give
of the
us a
bands I
quick
did
plug.
Tenerife.
look.
I've
Wow.
lost it. I've lost it.
The amount of stuff I've put here is only a
Tip
fraction
of it, yeah.
of what there really is. I mean, there's another thing. I used to do a lot of them. My company was called Made International.
After the golf club.
Yeah.
Max Brown.
I used to put a lot of stuff in there.
Didn't you go and pick your daughter up one night on a rowing boat because you were legless?
No, yeah, I was, yeah.
You actually rowed across the lake to pick her up and she said, I'm not getting in that with you, Dad. So you said, well, bugger off, Ged.
That's right, I did.
Have you any regrets, Roy, about this game? No. No.
That was.
You got no regrets, have you, about the Showbiz game?
There's one, I've got to tell you this one.
Go on.
I've worked with some when a lot of these artists, like, now for instance, Showbiz, Bernard, so down to earth, you knew exactly, and if they didn't like something, they'd tell you, right?
Mm.
A lot of the other, like Dave Berry, like would, you know, people like that. Billy Fury was very calm, but he would say, you know, a lot of these acts were very, it takes over. Now, for instance, there was a guy, I put a show together with, got his name? A very famous guy, many years ago, Million Records. And
Frankie Moore.
Pardon?
Frankie
Are
Moore.
you keeping his name hidden for reasons?
No, he's forgot his name.
No, but
He hasn't.
and on the show with the Vernon's girls, Dallas Boys, Jet Harris, right? And this guy, which I'll try and remember in a minute, and Douglas, something.
Craig Douglas.
Craig Douglas,
Big pal of mine.
right? He won't be after this. So,
I've heard it all.
so I got the show out and I put it out all over. So they're doing the Talk of the North, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday, business like that, not bad. Friday, busy. Saturday, busy. Now we're charging then a tenner on the door, which is not a lot, right?
Please.
So the next thing is, so roughly, never forgot, he was on 400 quid for the last 3 nights there. So just out of the blue, I was looking out the window of my office, and a minibus arrives and 20 people get out the minibus. And he's going, oh, this way, this way. Now, normally, if he'd have asked, I'd have let them in for nothing. Takes them right through the stage door, they don't pay a penny. So that's 200 quid, like that I'm down.
Took it out of his fee.
I did. So the next thing is, afterwards, he comes for his money and all that, and I give him 200 quid. And he went, oh, I'm £200 short. I said, no, that's what you owe me for bringing them people in the back door. And I give the doorman a bollocking for doing that. But like, how they got in that door?
Mm.
Another thing that happened to us one night with the door was at the top was this night I had Bob Monkhouse on, and it was tremendously rain, wind, really bad, and they were queuing outside. And the next thing is, Bob arrived early, which he did. He always do it very early.
Very professional, Bob.
And he goes to the thing, and the next thing, all these women are going, "Oh, get to the queue." Didn't know it was. A big umbrella, like, you know, and his missus, Jackie.
Mm.
And the next thing is, and then the doorman said, "Get to the back of the queue." And he said, "I better get back." He said, "Get to the back of the queue." So next thing is, he goes round the back, and he's pressing the button, and one of the lads went out for a cigarette. And he said, "Oh, come in, Bob." So he lets him in. He thought he'd been in anyway. Next thing I got a call. Roy wants to see you in the office, downstairs. I go downstairs and he said, "Roy, I just waited outside for 15 minutes in the pouring rain, and your doorman's just told me to F off, get in the queue." I said, "My doorman don't swear, honestly." And he went, "Well, I thought he said that." I said, "Anyway," and he laughed. He said, "Here, have a glass of Glenfiddich." Lovely guy.
Yeah.
The worst one, and you've seen it on there, Jim Davidson. The most arrogant, obnoxious person anybody could ever. If he was here now, I'd still say the same. His manager is the first really good friend of mine. His name is Laurie Mansfield. He brings all the Queen in and all the acting at the command performance. And Laurie used to have an apartment next door to mine in Tenerife. And the next thing is, one night I turned up, it was packed, got him on. I think he was on 7,000 for one night, right there. Yeah, that's contract anyway.
Yeah.
Who's this, Bob?
Jim Davis.
Jim Davis.
So anyway, the next thing is, what we do, everything is timing and getting everything right. You know, meals are finishing, so you get the compere talking to him, you get the you know this, DJ talking to him, everything is like smooth. And the next thing is, they're all setting the stage up and all that lot. And he walks on stage, in the dark, no lights and no nothing, no compere. Nothing. So next thing he goes, "Get them fucking lights on." That's what he said. So next thing then he does an hour and 15 minutes. Everybody's laughing, but he's not smiled at anything. But then I find out while he's on, he's had 2 bottles of wine and half a bottle of brandy. Right? But then at the end of the show, he goes, "Right, you can fuck off, you northern bastards," and walks off.
Did he know us that
And on
well?
that bombshell.
He didn't know us that well, did he?
I really said, "You know, Fred."
Do you know, John Virgo, my pal, told me that they never got on when they did Big Break. He said that he couldn't crack it with the... And that's not like Virgo. Virgo gets on with everybody. But to be able to say that he didn't get on with Jim Davidson, there must have been something... Never met the fella, Jim, anyway.
He lives on a yacht now, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah.
That there's one of the groups I started off with.
Who's that, Roy?
They're called the Odd Ones.
The odd one.
But they, honest to God, they were excellent.
Really?
They were keyboard player, bass, drums, and 2 guitars, like, yeah. And we went all over the place. We went to North East Scotland.
Which one's you on there?
Pardon?
Which one's you on there?
Bottom right.
Bottom right.
Yeah, there.
Let's have a look.
A good looking lad there. You don't recognise it.
Got his hair to one side then.
You've seen that image of Johnny Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dresses to the left.
He was a cracker. The thing about Johnny Moore, he spoke very fast, do you remember? He sort of like that, "How are you doing, Roy?"
Yeah.
When he came on my programme, I've had him on umpteen times with various radio stations.
Right, we've got to wrap up. We've got 3 minutes of the
I
tape.
realise that.
Give us
The book
give the book a big plug.
When's it going to be published, this?
People have been asking.
Hopefully
Yeah, we
this
will
is going to be published for the end of November before Christmas.
Good.
I'm doing, the money is, there's 40% going to Christie's, And the other 40 is going for the publishing. It's a very true autobiography, and in other words, there's no bull in it at all.
Right.
It's all facts and all true stories. Start days to finish days, and I'm not finished yet, but everything is absolutely fact. And some of the stories you might not believe, but they are true. Thank you.
Maureen says, please, before we finish, can you finish the Essex story?
The David Essex
David
story.
Essex.
Oh, yeah. David Essex.
The rider.
She wants you to finish
what
it.
a greedy he was.
I've not got the rider with me, but David Essex's rider was unbelievable. Most of the acts, when they started going away from doing clubs to theatres, they brought this big rider out. And same as a lot of these, believe it or not, over the years have started doing it. Barbara Dixon, she's in there as well. That rider is tremendous.
I know her so well.
But the David Essex rider, in the end I said, forget it, I'm not doing it, I'm not paying you that kind of money for you to demand this, that and the other.
What did David react to that? How did he
He
react?
said, rock on.
Yeah.
What he did, he said, could you have a word with my tour manager? I said, where is he? He's gone. He disappeared. He knew that I was having a go at it, you know.
Done so.
Yeah.
Well, if we're still on air next week, we'll be coming from John Browley's house.
All
His
right.
man cave.
His bar.
His bar.
Looking
yeah.
forward to it.
And he's got a special guest for you, just for you. And I can't say who it
Has he
is,
finished the bench yet?
No, he's going to start on when we get there.
Has he got the
We're
wood
there
yet?
For, yeah, we're going to whip him into it.
Good lad.
So next week, please, if we're still on there, I'm not being sued, watch us, same time.
I
same
can't
back
see how
channel.
it could possibly be sued because everything that's been discussed is the
It's all
truth.
factual.
You can't sue you for the truth, can
No,
they?
you can't.
Well, I wanted
And if they did, I wasn't here that day.
I've got a story, can I still
Yeah,
do
of
it?
course. Yeah, of course. Go.
Many years ago, John Bagnall, my partner in Fagan, said to me, I'd like to book Dennis Waterman. Because at the time, Dennis was doing everything.
Where's that from?
I think it's off an old photograph up here.
Right, it's not off your old phone, is it? Yeah.
So, the next thing is, I did a lot of tracing round, and I finally got through and got hold of Dennis Waterman's manager. There was a bloke called Deke Harlan. Deke Harlan got Shearer Easton off the ground from that programme, you know.
Oh, yeah, with that ransom thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the next thing, I booked him. So we had rehearsals every Monday, because we didn't open on a Sunday. So this day, we opened up on Monday for rehearsal at 4 o'clock, and then his band arrives, right, which is like a 15-piece. Now, from what I remember, I think he was on Pagan's 8,000 plus VAT for the week, right? Keep in mind we used to get about 1,200 people in them, like, you know.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, he turns up, Deke Harlan comes in, and there's another one, the most arrogant person you could ever wish to meet. And Rolls Royce, very large one, pulls up the front door, and he gets out, and then the next thing, he tells his chauffeur off and opening the door. So he goes in, and the next thing is, I happened to be stood there, and he went, where are we supposed to go? It's like that. I said, try that door then.
You sounded like Christopher Walken then.
Who?
Where are we supposed to go?
So the next thing, he goes through, and then they do the rehearsals, and as soon as he kicked off, Dennis Fortman is a fabulous bloke, I mean, great guy. So the next thing is, do the rehearsal, and I knew it was a mistake. Right, let's put it that way. Next thing is, that was it. So the night, he does the Monday, the Tuesday, and John says to me, you've got to get rid, Roy, you've got to get rid. So I said, all right. So I ring up his manager, the arrogant guy, and he said, no, we'll sue you, we'll do this, that and the other and all that lot. So I got back to John, and John said, leave it, we'll work him out for the week. But, in between and in the office I had then 12 telephone numbers. So then the phone goes, and it's Manchester Evening News. I believe you want to get rid of Dennis Waterman. So I said, no comment. So he said, Well, I believe I've been told by a very close person to you that you want to get rid of me because he's really bad at this, that, and the other. I said, if you want to come in tonight and have a look at me, you're welcome. That's not that. And the next, I put the phone down, I admit it. Next thing is, I'm not joking, Daily Mirror, some other papers, whatever, Sunday papers even, and then about Dennis Waterman. And the next thing is, I got a guy, I rang my solicitor then. I said, get him off me back with you, please. And what they're doing, they were jamming all my lines, so I couldn't ring out. And there was no portable phone then, you know.
Sure.
So I went downstairs and used the club phone. And the next thing is, he got them all released, and BT got it all sorted. So that was that. But then, I booked him also into, so they call it what do you call it?
Pembroke calls.
I booked him in there, and he was on £2,500 for the night with the band. So then they hadn't sold a ticket, so I got Fagans off my back with that, you know, not working. But then I got the manager on and a friend of mine, Tony York.
Oh no, Tony York.
And next thing is, Tony said, "Bro, you got to pull him out. They're not nothing sold." I said, "I can't." I said, "I think it'll be pay or play. That's a thing." I said, "Well, ask." I said, "No, we won't pay him." So next thing I went back, said no. So they said, "Right, well, I didn't know that the Pembroke Hall was owned by the council." So
Mike Prince used to work there.
next thing is, that was that. Then I'm getting all the local journal office on, then the evening news again, all this, that. So then I think, Jesus, what am I going to do with this? So that was that. So then their solicitor rings me, who's not supposed to speak to me, supposed to speak to my solicitor, Bergen Co in Manchester.
Oh yeah.
And the next thing is, I said, start threatening me. And I could tell he was an old guy, threatening me legal. And I said, "I'm sorry, you shouldn't be speaking to me. Ring the solicitor, he'll sort you." "No, I'm telling you now, we're going to sue." I said, "Oh, do what you want. Go and do one." That's what I said. That was that. I ring the solicitor. He rings him up and gives him a right rollicking. I got another call from him, apologising. I should have gone hit him in. But then, I think that's it. But then, I get the local paper on Sunday, and it's got the Sweeney Commandeers Ratepayers Monday.
Excuse me.
So the Sweeney Commandeers Ratepayers money.
Right.
So that was it.
Terrible.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks ever so much,
No,
mate.
thank you.
There's
Sorry
no
for
doubt.
going on,
No,
not
it's
bad.
been great.
What's that? 1, 2, 3. What's that? 2.5, 3 hours? Yeah.
I'll ring you back, okay?
Go on, use the run for 60 minutes. Not with that.
If
Many
I'd have
comments.
brought-
I'll ring you back.
Let me say
if
bye.
I'd brought all the other stuff, I'd still be in a second.
Come on, Fred, sober up.
We should do another one.
We will do.
What,
You
you
want-
finished?
Definitely.
Yeah, we're going to just say goodbye. We're not finished yet. Just say
All
goodbye,
right.
Freddie.
That's answer the phone.
Be rude not to. Right. But
Well,
off.
We're going
Thank
now.
God. Thank Fred. Say
Yes.
goodbye, Fred, or Roy, whatever.
Goodbye, and from Flynny and I, the audience, on behalf of the Roy Mozley Show, we thank you for tuning in today. And tune in when he's published the book, because he's promised a signed autograph of it for us. Me and Flynny, Cal can whistle.
Yeah.
I can't read anyway. It's
I just want to say thank you very much to the both and yourself, and I've really enjoyed doing it, and thank you so much.
Not as
been
much
great.
as we've
I
enjoyed
loved
listening
it.
to you.
Pleasure.
You never got to the point of where you made your million, though.
There's no end.
It's in that back garden.
It's very.
Is it in the book?
scrap
I'm
iron.
not telling you nothing.
Come on, Roy, you're not a skip
No,
member.
right.
Come on.
It's scrap iron.
Tell
We're
the
gonna go-
truth. Shame the devil.
Cut.
I wouldn't mind being a quid behind you in the bank.
Yeah. I went